Victor said, fascinating. I wonder if anyone else with the gift of his blood can impregnate any female vampire. And then Victor said I should experiment with this for myself. And then he heard that another vampire named Erica got pregnant by me, and when Victor found out she pretty much forced herself on me, he wanted to kill her himself. But then he started thinking maybe she could be useful, and then Victor took Erica to his chambers and she had sex with him for many hours, and then a short time later Victor got her pregnant, and he said it appears I will have heirs very soon. And as it turns out, Victor now has two very strong twin boys, and after some time Victor grew fond of Erica, even though at first he hated her for what she was. And then all the other vampire elders began to talk and spread rumors that Victor, Celine and me, James Gray Corvinus, are no longer ordinary vampires. And then one day Victor decided to announce it in front of the vampire elders along with everyone else that he has the blood of the fabled Alexander Corvinus flowing through his veins, and he will share this gift very soon with all vampires, and it has certain special privileges. However, for now this deal only extends to all the vampire elders, not the common vampires. For now only the worthy vampire elders will be granted my gift. And then Victor said this power even grants the ability to conquer the sun, and then everyone stood up and cheered. And then after everyone was done cheering, Victor said loudly, silence in this court. And then he said if all the vampire elders will join me in the back room, and that includes James Corvinus and his family and friends, and of course my beloved new wife Erica and our children. And then when we all got to the back of the secret room, all the elders asked Victor, now what? And then he said it's simple, you must drink of our blood, but don't harm or try and slaughter anyone you drink from, or else I will have to kill you. And then Amelia said I want James Corvinus, and then Victor said very well, you may have him, but don't harm him or injure him. And then Amelia smiled and said I would never harm such a pretty face. And then Amelia took to her room and she stripped herself nude and she said take off your clothes please. And then I removed my clothes and she asked me, they said you are of the royal bloodline of Alexander Corvinus, one of his human descendants. And then I said yes ma'am. And then she asked me, are you a slave? And then I said no. And then she said, wrong, tonight you are my slave and you do what I say. And then she walked up to me and she bit into my neck gently and she began drinking my blood, and then she pushed me on the bed and she had sex with me all day in every sexual position, and she said you don't get tired, do you? And then I said no, not really, I don't, I have no refractory period after I have sex and climax. And then Amelia said and asked me, fascinating, you don't lie either, do you? And I said no, I don't. And then she asked me why, and I said because I fear no one or nothing, that's why, and I have godlike powers. And then she asked me what powers do you have, and I said I have the powers to do anything, and pretty soon you are going to get very hungry and crave human food, and then you will become pregnant with my children. Amelia just thought you should know. And then Amelia rubbed her belly and she said after yesterday I'm actually looking forward to having your children. And within one day all the vampire elders became the keepers of the Alexander Corvinus bloodline, and me and Celine had to teach all the vampire elders how to suppress their pheromones and hormones to normal human levels, like me and Celine learned how to do. And I taught Amelia privately of course, and Celine was a bit jealous that I had sex with Amelia, but she also understood why I did it, for the good of the coven. And meanwhile back on Marvel MCU Earth, things were unfolding nicely with my magical clones, and me and Tony Stark managed to create the Vision android and the artificial intelligence for it a lot earlier. But this time I didn't just use the Mind Stone to power Vision, now this time Vision is also powered by new element Infinium, and now even if the Mind Infinity Stone gets taken from Vision, he can heal his body and he won't die. Without the Mind Infinity Stone he will live forever, and because of that we easily defeated Ultron without any casualties, and I was able to get Aldrich Killian to join us so I can improve the Extremist Serum, and I helped actually make the Extremist Serum perfect, and because of that Aldrich Killian joined the Avengers, and Maya Hansen ended up telling Tony Stark the truth about her son, that Tony Stark is the father of her child, and my clone even learned all the magic from the Ancient One. I defeated and killed Dormammu, and I took his dimension and his powers for myself, and then I went to the village of Shang-Chi's mother and I opened the black door and I absorbed all the souls there, even the dragon soul.